You don't have to be hopeful about the future. It's enough to just be curious about what could happen and about what could change. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're new, I'm Amanda. Welcome to the channel where we are all about shattering the mental health stigma. If you haven't already, please make sure you make sweet, sweet love to that subscribe button. Give the bell a few kisses so you're not missing any of this content designed to help you with your mental health or help you help someone else. Today, at the request of my amazing Patreon, Jack, thank you so much for your love and support. And keep in mind, guys, priority song requests are one of the main perks of my Patreon. I'm going to be reacting to So Far Away by Avenged Sevenfold. So it's wild to me that I guess I've only done one other Avenged Sevenfold reaction here on the channel, and it's been quite some time. So we're diving back in. But before we get into the reaction, spring is finally here. And just as we declutter our homes, this is a great time to also declutter our minds. Winter can be mentally draining. Short days, cold weather, and that sluggish feeling can really take a toll. But with the season changing, now is the perfect time to shake off that heaviness and make space for renewal, growth, and better mental health. That's where the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp, comes in. Because with BetterHelp, you can connect to a licensed therapist in as little as a few days. Whether you're feeling stuck in old patterns, struggling with motivation, or just need help refreshing your mindset, their network of 30,000 plus professionals can help you work through it. Think of it as spring cleaning for your mental health. You're clearing out all that stress, all that self-doubt, all that emotional clutter that's been holding you back. So to get started on your mental decluttering process with BetterHelp, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to betterhelp.com/AmandaWebster. That's betterhelp.com/AmandaWebster, and you get 10% off your first month of therapy. Thanks again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. Now guys, as we dive into this reaction, if my voice sounds a little off, it's because I'm just coming off of having what I think was bronchitis. I had to take some antibiotics and stuff, so my voice is just coming back. Sorry if I sound a little off. Good thing I'm not the singer here, right?
Never feared for anything, never shame but never free. A life that healed the broken heart with all that it could. Lived a life so endlessly, saw beyond what others see. I tried to heal your broken heart with all that I could. Will you stay? Will you stay away forever? How do I live without the ones I love? Time still turns the pages of the book it's burned. Place and time always on my mind. I have so much to say, but you're so far away.
Hey, you know, I wish I hadn't chosen today for this reaction, because the lyrics are very much like salt on an open wound at the moment. I know I'm about to lose some people I never wanted to lose in my life, and I would have fought to the death for, that I thought would always be there. And honestly, I don't know how to handle that, and I've been actively trying to avoid that thought all morning. And I feel like this reaction, doing this right now, is just kind of, well, you know what happens when you try and avoid your feelings, Amanda. We're just going to push you right there. So these lyrics are cutting pretty deep at the moment, but I'm going to try to still do the analysis without completely losing it right now. That and pregnancy hormones, the situation of pregnancy hormones, friends. Oh. I think the song is actually a tribute to the drummer. I don't know a lot about Avenged Sevenfold, but they did lose their drummer, and I think that this song is kind of a tribute to his life and their journey together. But the opening contradiction of appearing fearless but feeling trapped, I can absolutely relate to that. I think it can reflect on the emotional toll of a major life transition, whether it's a death or a breakup or a falling out, or even a positive one like having a baby. I think that there's this struggle between maintaining composure and feeling internally lost in our feelings about the situation. And there's this effort rise above the struggle, right? To rise above everything, which was a life to heal a broken heart with all that it could. I think that's what that was referring to. Or that line could speak to the guilt and helplessness that arises when we invest deeply in someone like a friend, and we don't see that investment pay off because we couldn't save them. So there's a lot of guilt and stuff associated with that. We couldn't keep them with us. So there's the guilt of not being able to save them, but then there's the pain that we weren't able to keep them here with us. And will you stay away forever? That addresses one of the most agonizing aspects of loss, especially when it's that ambiguous grief that we're having, and that's uncertainty. So we're so used to having these people be part of our lives, part of us, part of our very essence. We're so used to the life that we had that it can seem absolutely impossible to imagine what life is going to look like moving forward. And naturally, that's terrifying because we're stripped of our sense of security and our sense of comfort.
Plans of what our futures hold, foolish lies of growing old. It seems we're so invincible, the truth is so cold. A final song, a last request, a perfect chapter laid to rest. Now and then I try to find a place in my mind where you can stay awake forever. How do I live without the ones I love? Time still turns the pages of the book it's burned. Facing time, always on my mind. I have so much to say, but you're so far away.
That person's so far away from me physically. But I understand that when we lose somebody, they're even further away because we don't know where they are. Even if we have a faith conviction, we don't know where they are. And the future plans and foolish lies, I think that reflects a universal cognitive bias, which is the illusion of control. We have this illusion of control, and that's why we plan for a future as if it's guaranteed. But we know deep down, we know deep inside that nothing in this life is certain. Absolutely nothing. We don't know if we're going to get tomorrow with someone. We don't know if that person's always going to be there. We don't know that. And when we lose someone, we're not just grieving them, right? We're not just grieving that person. We grieve the future that we expected to have with them. We grieve a dream. We grieve an expectation, right? And this is why breakups, lost friendships, or even a life path shift, like I said, when you have a baby or something and your life path shifts and your identity shifts, it can feel devastating because it changes such a core part of us and we didn't realize it. And we were kind of in denial that we had our whole life planned out, and then we feel like the universe or God or whatever just kind of pisses on our plan because it didn't work out the way that we had thought it should. And that happens to everyone, by the way, not just any person. So the universe or God or whatever you want to call it isn't picking on you. It happens to all of us, but it seems we're so invincible. The truth is so cold. That was the perfect capture of that gut punch moment when you realize how fragile everything really is. You realize how everything is just house cards. Like life is really just house cards and it could just blow over at any given moment. But it also can create this identity confusion because if our future was tied to a person and that person passes away or we break ties with that person, or if our future was tied to a dream or to a relationship, I guess that's still a person, but who are we without that? Who are we without that dream, without that person? That's what we start asking ourselves, and it causes identity confusion. The final song and the chapter, Laid to Rest. I am a person, I've always correlated specific songs to specific people. So the person I know I'm about to lose, we have a song. My mom had mentioned a song on her very last voicemail to me, so that just kind of reminded me, that final song. You don't know that when you listen to that song that one last time with them, when you have that last moment with them, you never realize it's going to be the last time in most cases, unless you're there with that person during their final moments and you do know that it's going to be their final moments. For the most part, we never know that it's going to be the last time. And I really think that part, that lyric, really speaks to the human need for narrative closure. So we want every ending to be perfect, right? That happy ending cliche. We want this happy ending, whether it's a breakup or a goodbye or even just our own legacy. We want a happy ending to that. But the reality, most endings are messy, and that's not ideal. That's not what we want. That's not what we think of. But we rarely get the perfect goodbye. And even if we had it scripted out, we're still going to sit there and go, well, I should have said this, I should have done that, etc., etc. But this is why rituals like funerals, letter writing, or just personal little ceremonies that you do, that's why those exist, is to create a sense of closure even when reality doesn't really offer it. So this is probably actually their way of having some sense to losing their friend and their bandmate. I think the part about finding a place in their mind, that the person they've lost can stay, that he can stay, I really like that, because it's the resolve of the internal contradiction of wanting to keep them with us, but also wanting to move forward. We think that if we somehow forget them, that we're going to lose them all over again and we can't move forward. But do we let their absence define us through pain? Or do we carry them with us in a way that brings peace? And I think that pain is unavoidable up front. I think when it's somebody you're really close to, that pain is unavoidable up front. But the goal should be to find a way to honor them through our life and through our actions, like they are doing here.
Sleep tight, I'm not afraid. The ones that we love are here with me. Lay away a place for me, 'cause as soon as I'm done, I'll be on my way to live eternally. How do I live without the ones I love? Time still turns the pages of the book it's burned. Place and time always on my mind, and the light you left remains, but it's so hard to stay when I have so much to say and you're so far away.
Just real fast, I love how he's singing to him. You know, Rev, that's right. You know that he's singing to Rev. He's dedicating this to him, and all of those little things like his name being on the guitar and everything. That is beautiful. That is how we honor our loved ones. And I actually like also how they're all wearing different band t-shirts, so they're honoring what I assume to be maybe some of their role models and stuff, some of the bands they look up to. So I think that's really awesome to see a band wearing another band's shirts in their video. right, I kept it together. Yay. I really thought that I was going to kind of dysregulate there. I was going to have some emotions, guys. Just because of my own, like I said, personal situation, especially because it's going back through his younger years and stuff. I have I have childhood connections with this person, so it's really rough to be feeling what I'm feeling right now. And I think the only reason I didn't just completely lose it is because I really put myself in the mindset of, Amanda, we're gonna go do a reaction. So we're gonna be in this space right now. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna log off here and go curl up and cry for a while because there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to sit with. But I thought it was really interesting how when they're showing the tribute of him, the flashbacks and stuff, how it starts off kind of melancholy and then it builds to this more powerful, the sound that I feel like they're kind of more known for, like that powerful sound. And I think that's very intentional where it's okay in the beginning, yeah, as I said, you're gonna be depressed, you're gonna really struggle, you're gonna be at the sadness aspect, the depression and anger aspect of grief. But then you start to get to that point as you move through the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, as you go through the denial, anger, bargain, depression, then you're going to move toward acceptance. And I think once it starts going up, they're having that acceptance of, okay, the lyrics kind of reflect that in the end too. They're having that acceptance of, okay, he's not here, what do we do? I think that it was the acceptance of feeling the presence of him with them, of feeling that presence of our lost loved one. There's talk in the song about the urges rising, which I think is the urge to go be with them sooner. And guys, it is a common urge. If you lose someone, it's a very, very common urge to just want to go be with them, to just want to give up, to just want to end everything. I was there when my mom passed away and when my dad passed away. I get it. I really do. But there's also an acknowledgement that they aren't suffering anymore. And there's this belief that they're going to be together again soon. So they have this belief that they're going to get to rock out with him again one day, that they're going to get to, do another show in the sky somewhere. And that's beautiful to be able to connect with that. I think that the chorus has a really powerful metaphor that captures the dual nature of time and grief. Like, time forces forward motion, right? That's what time is. And when we're grieving, oh my God, I was so resentful to that. When my dad died, I literally remember cussing out the sun, sitting outside and cussing out the sun because how dare it rise after taking someone like my dad, after taking the most amazing man in the world, how dare you let the sun rise? And that's where my brain was. I was just so resentful that time was passing and I'm just watching people going about their lives going, no, my life just stopped. Why isn't the world stopping? And there's just so much resentment around that. But it can also remind us of that moment that we feel stuck in. Like we're stuck at that moment of their death. Time is not progressing for us. So while it's progressing all around us, it's progressing for the world, it's progressing for other people who probably didn't even know him. Those neighbors didn't know my dad. So to them, nothing changed, So the book that they refer to, Life, continues despite parts of it being permanently destroyed. Part of your path is destroyed. It's like somebody just dropped a meteor in your path, or somebody dropped a bomb. I guess somebody can't drop a meteor, but somebody just dropped a bomb in your path and it completely destroyed it. But that symbolizes that paradox between healing and between longing, is the way time passes and how we perceive it. But whether grieving a person or a dream or a version of ourselves, we're forced to redefine our story, our book, in light of what we've lost. So now we have to define everything kind of around that loss in a way, because it was such a huge part of us. For me, it's more the ambiguous loss, like I was saying, which is the grief that lacks closure. So when someone passes away, that is a very abrupt ending. There is an end, and to some degree there's closure. Even if we didn't get the closure we wanted, we got something. But it's like when a person is physically alive but they're emotionally or relationally absent. I think that type of loss can be so especially painful. It's a different type of pain because there's no clear ending to the process. There might not even be a clear beginning to that grief process. And there's always the what ifs, and there's just always that ambiguity in your head, which can make acceptance, which can make getting to the acceptance part of grief really, really hard. There's so much depth to the song and the messages. I feel like I could just go on and on with every single line. I feel like I could go so deep on a dive into the lyrics here, into the sound here. Um, I feel a bit sheepish, honestly. I have to make a confession. I feel a bit sheepish having avoided Avenged Sevenfold for so long because they reminded me of my ex. And so it's kind of like when I was a teenager and I couldn't admit that I liked the Backstreet Boys because I was an NSYNC girly. For those of you that don't know, the 90s were a really weird time, okay? Don't ask questions. But I couldn't possibly like the same thing as my ex, right? No, no, I couldn't possibly like the same band that he likes. All right, maybe he was right about this one thing. This one thing. That's all you're getting, okay? That's all that I'll concede to. But I really do like Avenged Sevenfold. And it was weird for me to realize that I'd only done one reaction on the channel, and I think that's why, is because I was just processing through some feelings about that ex and stuff. This is also kind of weird because I lost an ex. He passed away. He was a drummer. And so seeing this is kind of a very interesting parallel because it was, oh, I wasn't there for him through his childhood and stuff, but seeing the kind of personification, I guess, seeing, yeah, you know what, he had a life and he had these dreams and he had these friends and this family and things that meant a lot to him, and it affected so many people. And just kind of not really knowing much about the individual members of this band, but getting to be part of their grief and honoring process. I think that was a really awesome experience. Getting to just go through that with them. I could kind of feel myself seeing the sadness and hearing the sadness in his voice, and seeing the other members really leaning into that loss and grief aspect. But then I see them also smiling and celebrating and looking back at times with him. And I think that this is a really, really good reminder, both lyrically and visually. It's a really good reminder of how we can kind of go through those different stages too, that it's completely okay to fall apart. It's completely okay to feel sad and angry. The lyrics themselves kind of went through that, where at first it was just so much more of being stuck in those early stages and then slowly moving toward acceptance. I think that the song blended that really, really well. So thank you so much, Jack, for requesting this song. I'm happy to dive back into Avenged Sevenfold. Let me know which other ones you guys think I should do in the comments. There are certain bands I'm definitely always going to come back to, and this is one of them. Thanks again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. And as always, make sure that you're leaving your mental health stories here in the comments. Good, bad, and crazy. That's how we shatter the mental health stigma, is by talking about it. Give this video a thumbs up, share it. You never know who might need to see it. And I love you guys so, so, so much. Mwah.